Here comes your pre-market summary for Tuesday, January 31st. End of the month. That means maybe a little bit higher volume today. We'll talk about that coming up when we join you live at 8:30 this morning. For the most part right now, we are seeing a return to the downside after that sell-off on Monday to kick off the brand new week. After a pretty impressive week last week, and not only that, pretty impressive month so far for all three U.S. stock indexes. You got to go back to the summer last year to find a comparable month. Here's how things are setting up right now. 0.19 right now for the S&P 500, the Dow, and the NASDAQ, about the same 0.3 to the downside. Moving in the right direction. A slew of earnings to get through this morning. A lot of huge major cap companies reporting, including Caterpillar, Pfizer, to name a few, ExxonMobil, McDonald's as well, all coming through, mostly to the downside right now. Exxon, however, was down, just went red to green here in the pre-market on news they're going to extend their share repurchase program. I'll get to that in a sec here. Another move down for crude oil, about a full % right now, not helping some of these energy stocks. Bitcoin, Ethereum trying to bounce so far this morning. Let's look at the overall market right now. The S&P 500, we tested, if you remember, these highs last Friday, and then back to the downside we go yesterday to kick off the week. The Qs, same story. We actually broke through those highs on Friday, back to the downside this morning as well for the Qs. We'll talk about Tesla here coming up. They announced this morning they're going to raise their spending plan for the new year after that big red day yesterday. Huge ramp up last week, 33% to the tune of 33% on the week last week. Just a monster week for Tesla. Spotify earnings are out, actually a little better than expected. Forecast looks pretty good. Numbers right across the board beating. So Spotify to the upside so far this morning. GM higher as well on a forecast that was much better than expected. GM's report helping some of the automakers so far, including Ford as well, in positive territory. Yeah, CVNA, huge day yesterday, coming off what happened on Friday. We're back to the downside ever so slightly here this morning. Pretty active, though, in the pre-market here for CVNA. Yeah, chips on watch here. We'll get AMD after the close this morning. An absolute disaster of a report from Samsung coming through overnight. The electronics giant, worst report since 2014 for them. NXP as well also reported their downside this morning. So chips under a little bit of pressure. Exxon, huge report for them. Their downside to start things off, as I mentioned, just went red to green on that buyback news. So we'll talk about XOM coming up here in this little one. MSGM moving around. BBAI as well, back to the downside on news of an offering this morning. Make sure you grab that watch list, guys. There is a couple of economic notes coming up this morning, 9:45 and then 10 a.m. We'll get into those as well. Use the QR code, guys. Grab the watch list. Join us coming up at 8:30 on TraderTV.Live.